Okay, let's see if this is working. Okay, that's how that works. Okay. My first time being live on YouTube, so I hope you'll forgive me. I'm working on. Apparently, OBS had a YouTube live control panel. It won't show me the chat room though. It looks like I got to stick to the website, which kind of gets rid of the whole purpose. I'm sure I can get it if I really tried to find it, but right now I don't see it and I don't really care. How are you today? I'm just going to move everything over because there's almost no point in me holding this stuff way over here. Hello and welcome back to Why Do You Think? My name is Dustin. I like to go by with Dustin Why Do You. Almost done setting things up, don't mind me. And I'll put that right there at a small thing so I can read it. So this particular podcast, obviously this is an atheist podcast, but this particular podcast is about Bible quotes you were never taught. Now, this is actually my second time recording it. I did record it a first time with my girlfriend, and I didn't like how it came out, and she didn't either. We were just like, you know what? Neither of our heads were in the right headspace. This is garbage. Let's get rid of it. I mean, it wasn't a bad episode per se, but there was a bunch of stuff I'm just like, man, that would take a lot of editing to get out of there, and I don't want to edit. I don't want to edit at all. I want to, be good enough to go live like I am now, and why is it saying no data? Oh, okay. All right. I don't know why it's saying no data. I'm not worried about that. But you get what I'm saying. I want to be good enough to be able to just go live, post it. Don't have to worry about editing. It's like, oh no, something happened. I said something inappropriate to where I have to go edit in the middle. Warning, your stream's current bit rate is lower than recommended. What do you want me to do about that? Yeah, that doesn't tell me anything. Like I said, I'm new to being live here on Twitch. YouTube, sorry. I'm used to being live on Twitch. Twitch is easy. YouTube, it's like learning a whole other language. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing right now, I mean, I kind of do. Like, as I'm working on it, I figure it out as I go. So this, again, is take 2. Why? I didn't mean to open that one. Give me a second. That's the one I was looking for. All right, so it keeps switching between good connection and the bit rate's a little low, by the way. Sorry. I don't know what to tell you. So Bible quotes no one has ever taught you. Bible quotes you were never taught. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure you can hear me okay. By the way, I'm just going to do this quick. I was looking for. All right, so it keeps switching between good connection and the bit rate's a little low, by the way. Yep, it looks good. It looks good. Sounds good. I'm not worried about it. You can give me the warnings all you want, YouTube. Everything's fine. My cat keeps jumping up and down. I don't think she knows what she's doing. All right, let's start off with a good Bible verse. And I wrote a lot of these down, and I'm just like, man, there's one in particular that was my favorite. I actually put stars next to it because it was my absolute favorite. You know, when the Bible contradicts itself. Leviticus chapter 11, verses 7 and 8. And the pig is unclean to you. You must not eat their meat or touch their carcass. And you've heard this one before, right? I mean, maybe not that verse per se, but like you hear that from people. Hey, you can't eat meat on Fridays after Ash Wednesdays. I'm Jewish. I can't eat meat in general, or pork for that matter, in general. But then you go a little further into the Bible, and on Mark chapter 7, verse 18 and 19, this is Jesus speaking, by the way. He says, don't you see that nothing that enters a person from the outside can defile them? In saying this, Jesus declared all foods clean. Don't you see that nothing that enters a person from the outside can defile them? In saying this, Jesus declared all foods clean. So which is it? Can we not actually eat pork, or did Jesus make it so we can eat everything? I want to bring it up next time someone tries quoting the Bible to me. I have a couple questions here. That's why I put stars next to it, because this one I want to remember. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 7 and 8, and then Mark chapter 7, verse 18 and 19. Oh, I can't wait to bring that up. Can't wait to bring that up. It's 7 at night, by the way. And I'm having coffee because the coffee is the thing that seems to make me most fluid when it comes to streaming, right? From talking. Give me a cup of coffee. I can talk your ear off. Trust me. Let me make sure that's okay. Yeah, nothing's going on. All right, good. So, I started off with that Bible quote, but I want to bring something up. I passed by the big protest yesterday. I was going to call it a meet or a march. I mean, it's all of those things, but I'm just going to call it a protest. Okay. I was in the car just driving, and I knew there was protest somewhere. I didn't know where. You know, I only heard about this just a couple days ago, and next thing I know, the event's here, and I've heard nothing. Where it's happening, my girlfriend didn't even know. She told me some places, but it was like an hour and a half to 2 hour drive away. I wasn't about to drive that far for a protest, and it turns out there was one like a 5-minute drive from me. Right? I only know that because I was driving. And I would have joined the protest, but I was incredibly busy. I didn't think I was going to be running into any protests. Now that I saw it, and I was just like, man, now I wish I wasn't so busy. But it was awesome. It was awesome. Like, it started off with only tens of people. From what I'm hearing, it started off incredibly small, probably because it wasn't as broadcasted as the first one. Excuse me. It wasn't as broadcasted as the first one. And so I figured maybe there's not going to be many people this time. You know, one of those, just a normal tiny protest that you see from time to time. You hear it on the news. You know, usually people with those small protests are blocking cars and stopping people from living their life and going to work. Whereas if you're late for work, you can get fired. So they could easily have ruined lives. But that's not the point I'm making it. The point I'm making is it didn't seem like there was going to be a lot of people. Right? Started off small. And it blew up. Thousands of people within just a couple hours. I'm just like, man, maybe I should go. Maybe it's getting late. I was busy all day. I had a 3-day weekend this weekend thanks to Easter. Thank you, Jesus, for making Easter for me to give me one more day off. But I was busy all weekend, and now it's Sunday night. I got work tomorrow. I'm like, man, what happens? What happens to the time I'm busy? That was my small talk, by the way. It's like, this is me doing this live for you right now. You know, it's going to be It's the end of my Sunday. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going to go get myself some real food and relax in front of the YouTube screen. I have YouTube on my TV, and I just look to see what all my favorite YouTubers are up to. Hit the play button, and yeah, give me just a second. I just thought of something. Give me just a second here. I just realized I didn't put any hashtags on my live stream. And apparently I can't type out. I really can't type today. It's been one hell of a weekend. All right, that's good. Save. Thank you. That's something I should have done 10 minutes ago. Back to the episode I told you I previously recorded. Actually, I didn't really record. I did record it, but I didn't really record it. I was live on Twitch, okay? Because I tried to be live on YouTube. I'm like, I want to be live on YouTube. I don't care about being live on Twitch, at least not yet. I want to hang on to Twitch for my gaming more than anything. Well, it didn't happen that way because apparently when you have a new YouTube and you go to click live for the first time, it says, sure thing, buddy. You want to go live on our YouTube? Absolutely, you can go live on our YouTube. You can do it in, let's say, 24 hours. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, they start off a timer, a clock countdown from 24 hours from when you can go live. I'm guessing it's for like a background check, making sure you're not going to do anything bad. Maybe check out the videos you've already made. Make sure that there's nothing illegal what you're doing or anything like that. I get it. But why do you have to wait for me to hit the live button? Because I was ready to go live. So I used Twitch. Yeah, my throat's actually really feeling it today. I've been saying that a lot lately, but that's why I got the coffee. I've been drinking a lot of coffee lately. I've been going to the bathroom every half hour. But I gotta stay awake. I'm busy. So, back to the episode. I mean, like I said, it went okay. But both me and my girlfriend's, our heads were not in the right place, right? I would give her a quote from the Bible, and she would say, right, something, 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 and I'm just like, that has nothing to do with the quote. What are you talking about? And it turned out she wasn't even listening. She was busy making bread. She was in the other room. So she wasn't even really paying attention. So I'm just like, by the end of the episode, it was going okay. But until that time, I'm just like, man, I'm not feeling this one. We got to do this over. I got to do this over. One of us has to do this over. She wasn't exactly hurt by it. She knew she was already busy and half paying attention anyway. So she goes, next time you'll have my undivided attention. Okay, all right. Fair's fair. Fair's fair. So I said the Leviticus one. Let's see. I have a bunch of them. This one was a friend of mine's favorite. We actually were talking about this today. Leviticus chapter 11, 20 through 23. All flying insects that can walk on all fours are to be regarded as unclean by you. Insects that can walk on all fours are to be regarded as unclean by you. I'm sorry, how many insects do you know that can walk on four legs? I mean, some of them, if they really concentrated and they lifted enough legs, they could walk on four legs, but most of them, as far as I know, don't. Let alone the flying ones. How many legs does an insect have? I'll give you 3 seconds. Right, 6. And you might have this person here or there. Well, what do spiders? They have 8 legs. They're arachnids. Okay? They're arachnids. I mean, people consider them bugs. But we're talking insects. Well, what about roly-polies? Did you know roly-polies aren't really an insect? Did you know they're in the same category as like shrimp and all them? They are... I'm having a head... I was trying to think of it as I was talking. I'm having one of those big brain farts. They're a crustacean. Those roly-polies, those pill bugs, that's what I've always called them, pill bugs. They're a crustacean. They're a land crustacean. And not even 100% land crustacean because they still have to keep wet. And a lot of times you'll find them under rocks under the water. They're a crustacean. They're not a bug. I don't know how many legs they have, but they have a lot. They have a lot more than 6. But all that doesn't even matter. Do you know, even if I'm wrong, let's say spiders are considered an insect. Let's say the centipede is considered an insect. I don't know if it is. I did not look it up, but let's just say it is. I don't know. I still don't know any bugs that walk on 4 legs. Which is fine because the Bible says if you see them, they're regarded as unclean. Well, then as far as I can tell, I have never seen an unclean bug, so I guess we're okay. We're not approaching the end times. I haven't seen any bugs with 4 legs yet. Still working on that. I'll let you know if I find one. I'm just going to mark this. Okay. This one is a classic. Everyone's heard this one. This one, I feel like I shouldn't even need to bring up. But it's still got to be brought up because it's just as pitiful and stupid as the... I keep trailing off in my words today. I am so sorry. My head is all over the place. You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. We've all heard that one. We've all used it in our arguments, but for some reason, that gets tossed aside, right? We tell Christians that, and they're just like, man, so, God works miracles. You know, we always get the backhand to it. So it's like, I don't want to talk about that one. Well, why not? This is your Bible. Your Bible. Last I heard, the Bible meant something to live by. This is your Bible. And it says to bring all living creatures, male and female, onto the ark to keep them alive. What about the penguins? Right? And then you got animals from all over different countries. You got zebras. You got kangaroos. I did say penguins. Obviously, whales I don't think count because, you know, whales they'll be fine in the water, you know. They don't really need fresh or salt water as long as they can. No, actually, they might. Disregard that last whole sentence because I'm proving myself wrong as I'm saying it. But you get my point. Forget whales for a second. The fish would have a big problem. Saltwater fish mixed with freshwater fish, all the fish would die, right? There's too much fresh water to be mixed in the salt water, and obviously too much salt water to be mixed with the fresh water, that none of the fish will survive this. Except for maybe the lionfish, because it turns out even though they live in salt water, it turns out they barely need any salt water to survive because they're a pest. Right? They invade, they take over, which is why there's so many videos of people harpooning them as they're swimming along, just trying to get them out of there. They're a pest. As cool as I think they are, they're a pest. And like I said, gonna need one hell of an ark to get all those living creatures on it. And I don't care if every animal does somehow get the brain capacity to help you build the boat. I want to know how they're able to measure and, you know, they become technologically advanced, right? They become engineers. Can you imagine a bunch of elephants and birds and whatever putting that ark together and going, yeah, that's not going to leak. I think we got this. Noah, I made it so the ark won't leak. Thanks, man. You got it. Can you imagine? I want to see my cat try to make something, let alone a boat that doesn't leak in the water. And obviously, I could go on talking about the ark for a while, but we've talked about this too much. We've talked about this too much. You know we've talked about this too much. There's too much to talk about when it comes to the ark. There's way too much to talk about. Did you hear they actually found the ark? Again? Was it the 7th time just this past year? It's always big news, though, isn't it? It's always big news. We found the ark. It's dirt in a very vague shape of a boat that's not big enough to house more than 2 animals, let alone 2 of every animal. You don't know what you're talking about. Moving on. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow or seen the storehouses of the hail? This is Job, chapter 38, 22. I'm sorry, I didn't know snow and hail was in storehouses in the sky. I thought they came from clouds and a bunch of moisture pushes together and then the cold makes them colder and sometimes they turn into ice, sometimes they turn into snow, and then they fall. But then again, this is what religion's been about, right? Religion's been always about 2 things. Ever since the beginning of religion, it's been about 2 things. It's been about, A, keeping people in line. Hey, don't you kill. Hey, don't you steal. It's in your religion. You're not allowed to do that. Right? Keeping people under control. Make them follow the law using fear. And the other thing they use religion for is stuff that they can't explain. And I'll give you an example. The weather is a great example considering this particular Bible verse. Now, look at Rome, right? We got Zeus, we got Hades, we got Poseidon, we got all that stuff. Was that Rome? Am I thinking of Greek or Rome? Told you, brain farting big time today. But you get my point. You've heard of Zeus and Poseidon. And so they're like, oh, electricity is coming from the sky. Zeus must be mad. Oh, the waves are terrible. They're capsizing our boats. Poseidon. I'm losing my voice. It must be the gods. Poseidon must be mad because the waves are capsizing our boats, the water spouts, all that stuff. And then we got a little bit smarter, right? We've evolved our scientific brain and method. We learned where electricity comes from, where lightning comes from. We learned why the waves do what they do and why water spouts happen. And so suddenly people are like, it wasn't Zeus, was it? It wasn't Poseidon. No. It was the pressure and the hot and the cold all mixing together and the pressure messing with the waves. And not only that, but earthquakes messing with the waves. And next thing you know, they're like, you know what? These gods suck. You guys don't do nothing because you don't do anything. We thought it was because of a god. It turned out it's a very natural cause. But there's always going to be things we don't explain. And what happens? More religion. More Christianity. We don't know what happens when we die, which is the big question, right? We don't know what happens when we die. But it doesn't matter. Because we're never going to figure that out. And as long as we don't figure that out, religions like Christianity will exist because people are afraid of death. They'll always be afraid of death. Even the ones who say they're not afraid of death, they're a little afraid of death. They don't know what's going to happen. Right? We don't know what's going to happen. Right now, evidence proves that nothing's going to happen because nothing happened before we were born. We were just born one day and it's just like, well, shit. When did all this get built? Right? It's not like we were around to really witness the past, 200 years, 5,000 years, 10,000 years plus. We just woke up and it was like, oh, made all this progress already, huh? All right. Let me just double check something here really quick. All right. So I imagine, at least evidence proves that that's exactly what's going to happen when we go, right? When we go, there's going to be absolutely nothing because it's like going to sleep and never waking up. That's why they call it the big sleep. The only difference is A, we don't wake up, and B, do we dream? We probably don't dream because dreams are in the imagination, right? Where it's in the brain. Essentially, it's like seeing things. Oh, why can't I think today? I am so sorry. I've had a long day. I'm really not going to think of it, Dustin. You're really not going to think of it? Hallucinate. I knew I was going to think of it. Essentially, we're like hallucinating when we sleep, right? Because we can see it, we can hear it, and then we wake up and we're like, oh, it's just a dream, right? And then you got people saying, I saw God, I saw Jesus, I saw Grandma, I heard a whole bunch of stuff, I heard the angels singing in the clouds. What happened? I was dead for like 2 minutes before they brought me back. You know what's funny? What happens when you die, even for that brief amount of time? Low oxygen, right? You're unconscious, which is when you dream, and there's low oxygen. What does low oxygen do? Oh yeah, that's right, it makes you hallucinate. And when you hallucinate, you will see anything your mind puts in front of your inward eyes. That's what I like to call it when you're just thinking. You can see it in your head, but you're not seeing it with your eyeballs. Sometimes you actually see it with your eyeballs. Okay, I take that back. You see it with your eyeballs. I am so curious about the whole seeing my body. I'm flying above my body. I mean, if you sat here and imagined it right now, like me, sitting here and recording, if I thought about it, which I just did, I can see me looking at a screen, looking at the webcam, just talking, doing this, and I can see me from above my bald head doing that. And imagination's strong, especially when you're hallucinating or you have low oxygen in the brain or you're just plain dreaming. It's so powerful. There's no way your brain can't make that a vision for you. I just went off on a long tangent about that. The point is there's no evidence, and as long as there's no evidence on what happens after we die, we're going to continue to have things like religion because everyone wants to have something to happen after they die. And I can relate. I know exactly what they're talking about. I wish something would happen after I die because I feel like I'm going to be here forever, right? You feel like you haven't been here that long, but it's like, no, I'm just going to stop existing altogether. It doesn't make sense, and you want something to happen, but there's no evidence for it. Which brings up my next point, ghosts. I was actually talking to my neighbor about this because I told him I was an atheist and I'm making an atheist podcast, and he goes, are you an atheist though? Are ya? Or are you agnostic? I'm like, no, I'm an atheist. And he goes, okay, let me ask you then. Do you believe... He doesn't talk like this, by the way. Do you believe in ghosts? I'm like, no. You don't? Wow, you are the first atheist to say that. Now, why don't you believe in ghosts? Again, he doesn't talk like that. I'm like, there's no evidence for it. There's no evidence. We could say that there's evidence using things like K2 meter, but I've already talked about all that in a previous episode. But there's no evidence for it. Send someone a text using your phone. Watch that K2 meter blow up. But anyway, and he goes, okay, so there's no evidence for it at all. And I'm like, right, until I see evidence, I don't believe it. That's the whole point of being an atheist, the scientific mind. We want to see the proof before we believe it. And some of us require more proof than others. It is kind of funny that he said I'm the first atheist to say I don't believe in ghosts. He goes, because if you believe in ghosts, then you believe something outside of the physical world. You believe in spirits, and if you believe in spirits, you believe in God. I'm like, I know. It's one reason I don't believe in ghosts, because there's no evidence for any of that. Makes my head hurt. I just realized I've been on a tangent for a half hour now. I should probably get to a few more of these. I've done this one. Okay, we've talked about the hail. No, I guess it wasn't Zeus or Poseidon. It's science, and we figured that out. Speaking of science, here's another one. Jacob takes striped sticks. So I guess sticks that are painted, striped, or something like that. I don't know. And puts them in front of mating animals. Animals that are having sex. He just puts them in front of them. And they give birth to striped offspring. Wouldn't that be cool and how that works? Can you imagine the designs we would make our dogs or our cattle or our sheep? That would be so cool, right? But it don't work like that. Genetics don't work like that. Just because a chameleon can change around what it's around, and not even its offspring will turn into that. I think you know where I'm going with that. I got myself a minor aneurysm just by thinking that. All right, we're going to jump on to the next one then. Speaking of science and animals and such, Samson finds a beehive in the carcass of a lion and eats the honey. Samson finds a beehive in the carcass of a lion and eats the honey. This is Judges 14, 8 through 9. How many beehives have you seen in the carcass of an animal? You've seen bees around the carcass of an animal because the blood is sweet nectar. I'm sure that they use it for something, right? You ever go fishing, pull out a bunch of fish, you will see bees surround that thing if there's any around. They love it, but they're not going to make a beehive in it. Carcasses degrade. They wither away, they break down. You get what I'm saying. I can't think of the appropriate word, but I've said every synonym out there. They can't make a home in that. They need a home and able to survive the winter, to survive the harsh weather, usually wood. A carcass of an animal ain't going to protect them from nothing. I'm guessing whoever wrote the Bible saw a bunch of bees around a carcass and it's like, there's a beehive in there. Oh, I'm going to write about that. Stupid. I'm remembering to mark them this time so I don't accidentally say it more than once. This one has two parts because the Bible essentially disproves itself, right? Which there's a lot of, everybody knows it, but I'm about to give you an example. This is Matthew. I'm sorry, give me one sec. I think I'm drinking too much coffee. I am burping. This is Matthew, chapter 27, verses 52 and 53. The tombs broke open, and the bodies of many holy people were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. There are zombies in Jerusalem. Zombies. The tombs broke open and the bodies of many holy people were raised to life. They came out of the tomb after Jesus' resurrection and went to the city. So there's zombies in Jerusalem. Not only was this never mentioned by secular historians, which I'm surprised, I don't think any of you would be surprised about, but it's not mentioned anywhere else in the Bible either. Even in the other Gospels. You heard about, zombie Jesus? We got a whole city of zombies according to this passage. All right, I can scroll down. I've gotten rid of all those. This one I found hilarious because Jesus got mad at a fig tree for not being in season, but he didn't know it had anything to do with it being in season. He was just mad there was no figs on it. Matthew 21:19. Seeing a fig tree by the road, he went up to it and found nothing on it except leaves. Then he said to it, "May you never bear fruit again." Immediately the tree withered. So that was Matthew 21:19, except for in Mark 11:13 later on, it says, seeing in the distance a fig tree in leaf, he went to see if there was any fruit on it. But when he reached it, he found nothing on it except leaves, since it was not the season for figs. This was a different person, by the way, going up to see that there was no figs on the tree. Jesus didn't know that the figs weren't in season. It's like going to a tomato plant in the middle of winter. Where's my goddamn tomatoes? May you never bear tomatoes again. It wasn't season for it, man. It wasn't spring or summer. You're not going to get those tomatoes. You're not going to get those tomatoes. I'm sorry. All right, what else we got? Oh, we talked about zombies, and everyone's heard about the whole donkey talking, right? We got talking donkeys in the Bible. We got walking zombies and talking donkeys. This is in Numbers 22 through Numbers chapter 22, verse 28. Then the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and it said to Balaam, "What have I done to you to make you beat me these 3 times?" God opened the donkey's mouth and made the donkey say, "Why did you beat me 3 times?" We have talking donkeys now, man. Like according to Noah, God talked to him directly and then ignored him completely. But this one, he needed a donkey to talk to him. What was he taking? Right? What kind of hallucinogenic was he taking? For when the donkey, instead of going, said, "Why did you what have I done to make you beat me these 3 times?" How can anyone believe this garbage? Stupid donkeys. It's no business to theirs how much I beat them. I'm kidding. I don't beat animals, ever. In fact, I like animals better than people. As of lately, I don't think anyone can blame me. Speaking of liking animals better than people, people suck. People suck. If a man meets a virgin who is not betrothed and seizes her and lies with her, he shall give the father 50 shekels, and then she shall be his wife. So in other words, if a man goes and grapes a woman, his penance, his punishment is to get 50 shekels and give it to the father. Here you go. I did your daughter. And now I don't have a choice, but we're about to get married. And it's funny because people immediately think that this is a punishment for the woman, for the virgin woman. Like, what did she do to have to marry her rapist? And I say it like that in case it goes on TikTok. But remember, these are old times where they looked at woman as property. So if she's going to be his wife and there's no choice in the matter, how much you want to bet that the Bible was actually saying that they were punishing the guy? The guy's like, "Man, I just wanted to get laid. Now I have to marry. I never agreed to marry her. I just wanted to get laid." You get what I mean, though. You get what I mean. The Bible looked at men as humans and women as property. So if it's saying that she has to be his wife, the Bible's probably saying, "Yeah, take that. That's what you get." You jerk. So stupid. Ugh. All right, let me mark that off before I repeat it. Yes, I did that once or twice. How long have I been live for? Oh, okay. Pretty quick. I've been on for a bit. How many tangents have I been on? This one, the Bible contradicts itself. I told you the last one did, but like this one does. Now, this is both from the same chapter. From the same writer, let's say. Exodus. Exodus chapter 9, verse 6. All the livestock of the Egyptians died. It's the whole verse. All the livestock of the Egyptians died. Exodus 9:6. Look it up. But then in Exodus 9:19 through 21. So obviously this is later. God warns Pharaoh to protect the livestock from the next plague. And I know what you're thinking. Wait, what livestock? I thought they were all dead. Did they die or did they not die, Bible? It's words to live by. It makes you a better person. Like this is all about morals and ethics. Oh, I'm having too much fun with this. Everything seems like it's still live, still going good. Okay. I do have it set up on my Discord that if anybody wanted to chat with me, they could just go into my Discord, follow the instructions that I have written out in there, and you could talk to me, right? We could make it like a phone game, so to speak. I'm not imagining anyone to be there for a while. This is a brand new channel. Yeah, I have a few subscribers already, which is amazing, by the way. You guys are awesome. I did not expect to get any subscribers until like my 5th podcast, but so far so good, man. Speaking of which, I need to go into YouTube and set all those things. Apparently, you could set them to say podcast. I don't know. Here's another Bible verse that contradicts itself. I call this one Matthew versus Acts. ACTS. Matthew versus Acts. So in Matthew 27:5, this is about Judas's death. He says he hanged himself. Easy, right? Judas hanged himself, according to Matthew. Well, according to Acts, he fell headlong, and his body burst open. What, he'd fall down a cliff, fall off a bridge? What'd he fall off of? Either way, he fell and his body exploded. So it's two different accounts on Judas's death. Was it suicide by hanging, or was it a messy fall that exploded his guts? You gotta pick a genre, Bible. I know you're all about violence and death and gore, but you gotta pick one. You ever see Freddy or Jason? You know, the horror movie guys? You ever see them blowing things up to kill people? No, they don't. They hack and slash. They picked a genre. They're already doing better than you, Bible. I talked about the pig. The pig is unclean. And then Jesus said, no, it's not. Eat it. This one's kind of funny. This has to do with the Tower of Babel, by the way. In Corinthians 14:33, for God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all the congregations of the Lord's people. God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. Well, according to Genesis in 11:7, this has to do with the Tower of Babel. Come, let us go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other. A lot of war and battles have broken out due to misunderstanding. So God comes down and confuses their language so they will not understand each other. But he just said he is not the author of confusion, but of peace. Oh yeah, all morals, this Bible. You know, they know what they're talking about. Okay, I'm approaching the end here. I mean, I still have quite a few, but I looped them up in a group. Because everybody, you've heard it from a lot of people, and you probably know it yourself. The Bible condones slavery. It doesn't just think that slavery is okay and here's the rules. It condones it. Word I'm looking for. What's another word for condone? You know. Wow, I suck today. You know what? Google. What's another word for condone? Not what I was looking for. Forget it. I think you get what I'm getting at, though. Leviticus 25, verse 44 through 46. Your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. You can bequeath them to your children as inherited property. They can be slaves for life. Sounds like these slave owners are kind of privileged, don't you think? Your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. In other words, nations, who is not mine, you are my slaves now. Come here and serve me. That's what I'm hearing. This one has to do with the rules of having a slave. Exodus 21, verse 20 through 21. If a man beats his male or female slave with a rod, and the slave dies, he must be punished. But if the slave recovers after a day or two, he is not to be punished, for the slave is his property. So listen, you can whoop their asses all you want, but as long as they survive, you're good, bruh. I don't have a problem with you. That's what God's saying. I don't have a problem with you. Did he live? So what's the problem? I want to know from the comments, by the way, how many of these have you heard before and which ones are like, whoa, I've never heard that one. I went through quite a few today. Jumping forward, this has to do with another privilege thing, I think. After conquering a city, if it surrenders, you can enslave the people. You can. Go ahead, man. If it resists, kill all the men and take the women and children as plunder. Deuteronomy 20, verse 10 through 14. God says it. If you go and conquer a city, if it surrenders, you can enslave the people. But if they say, no, I don't want to be enslaved, kill all the men and take the women and children as plunder. Me and my girlfriend were making a joke about that. She goes, yeah, women are useless. And I'm like, women are useless? They're killing off the men. They still have use for the women. What are you complaining about? She found that kind of funny. What's this one? Oh, yeah. This one, God is starting to talk to the slaves. He's talking to the slaves on these last two. So he's not just talking to the slave owners saying, yeah, it's okay if you have slaves. I don't mind. In fact, I encourage it, which is the word I was looking for earlier. Encourage. This one he's talking to the slaves, though. 1 Peter 2:18. Slaves, submit yourselves to your masters, not only to those who are good and considerate, but also to those who are harsh. It's in the Bible. submit to your masters. If they own you, you submit to them. I said so. And by me, I mean God. I'm God. And the last one, since it's right up in the same alley as the one I just talked about, this is in Colossians 3:22. Slaves. He's talking to them directly. Now he's calling them by name. Slaves. Obey your earthly masters in everything, and do it, not only when their eye is on you and to curry their favor, but with sincerity of the heart and reverence for the Lord. So in other words, don't do whatever the slave owner says just because he's watching you. If he's not watching you, do what he says anyway. Because it's with sincerity. You're to do that because the Lord said so, with sincerity of heart and reverence for the Lord. Do it for the Lord, man. Obey your slave master. Do it for the Lord. So if you ever hear from anybody saying, hey, the Bible doesn't condone slavery, it's right there. I just gave you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Bible verses having to do with that. So upcoming, I plan on having more people on my show. Like I said, I had my girlfriend. It didn't work out, at least in that particular episode. I really got to stop being over judgmental. And I don't mean about her, but of me. And the show is just like, dude, whatever happens in the show happens. Just let it go. It really wasn't a bad episode, and I feel bad for having to do it over, but I already deleted everything because I was like, you know the saying, you are your own worst critic, and I'm a bad critic of mine. If it's not great, I'm mad at myself. I'm like, I got to do it over. You know how many videos on YouTube I had to just delete the whole thing and do the whole thing over? I've played games over because I was just like, what am I doing? I got to stop being so overly critical about myself. Just let whatever happens. And if anything's bad, find a way to censor it. That's what editing's for. And that's what banning people is for if they become disruptive. But that's a whole different issue. I cannot believe the amount of protesters, by the way, yesterday. There was so many of them. So many. I was just driving, and as I'm driving, I'm like, oh my God, there's more and more people. I wish I knew about this sooner. I could have planned it better. But knowing only 2 days ahead of time, I didn't have time to plan. I already had plans made. I tried to make time to go, but I just didn't make it. Well, thank you for listening to the show. I'm live on... Whoops. Sorry, I just got my first comment from the live show after talking about all this. Are you an atheist or theist? I'm an atheist. This is an atheist podcast. I just realized I should have specified that. And how are you today? I can spend a minute to talk to viewers. There's a very long delay, by the way, between what I say and when it gets to you. I'm noticing that. I should have put the very low latency on, but, I wanted at least the quality to be relatively crisp. But yes, I am indeed an atheist. I'm pretty good. I just called into the Jimmy Snow's show to no avail. Theist caller. Oh, you're a theist. Is it Kian? Am I pronouncing that right? Or Cayenne? I'm actually ending the show. I actually just finished everything I had to talk about, and I have to get going. Kian. Wow, I butchered that name. I apologize. But I do plan on doing more shows, and I try to do one every couple days at the very least. I want to be live. I'll catch you next time then. I'll subscribe. I very much appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yes, I try to do a show every other day. It doesn't always work out that way, but I plan on being live for it. So just, keep that bell dinged after you subscribe. It'll let you know when I'm live. I have no problem talking to people. I just made a Discord. There's a Discord in my in the description, okay? And there's rules in there. Obviously, be respectful. If not, I'll just get you out of there. And if we ever talk, you gotta type in what you want to talk about, your age, because can't talk to people under 18, and what you want to talk about. It's kind of like a pre-screening, so to speak. I'm saying way too much today. I severely apologize. My head is not in the right space. And when all that is done, then you can go into the waiting room. It's a voice chat area, but the voice is not enabled. You won't be able to hear or talk. And then I can pull you into the private voice chat where we can talk and see what happens. So I'm going to stop it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. All my links are in the description, including my Discord, my Bluesky, my Twitch. I think my Twitch is on there, and my other YouTube. So if you want to check those out while you're at it, while you're waiting for the next show, feel free. And I love your faces. And I hope to see you next time. I was about to hit the wrong button. I almost hit record instead of stop streaming.